And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win. It's the last Who Would Win of the week of Who Would Win, and that means it's the speed round. And I don't even know what number we're at. I'll look in the playlist when I'm done. I don't have a playlist for the speed rounds. I really should separate those into their own playlist. But regardless, um, maybe later today I'll do that. But I think I'm on maybe 20 now. I think this is the 20th speed round I've done. I don't know. Let's take a quick look into the future that is the present, that was the past. Yes, I just said words. Those words made sense in my head. Did they make sense in your head? I don't know. It's still very early, and I didn't actually get a lot of sleep last night. And I came back home after having to do something, like slept for another hour. I'm like, I just want to go back to bed. But my dog tends to be a little grumpy, and it's like, you're not downstairs paying attention to me. Roar. Let's see here. So what was the most recent speed round I did? Let's find out here. Speed round. I want to say it was like 19 or 18 was the speed. I know I'm at least at 18. No, 19. That was the last one I did. It was speed round. We're now in the 20s now. And so let's just get into it. I've got six. Oh no, I got seven different ones this time around. Oh no, six. I was wrong. This first one comes to us from Luke Zilla, who asked the question, who would win in a fight? Gustav, the legendary man-eating Nile crocodile, versus Sarcosuchus, the largest known crocodile to have ever existed on Earth. The reason this is a speed round is it's very simple. The Sarcosuchus would win because it's got a good 15 feet on, on Gustav. Gustav is huge by Nile crocodile standards. He is over 20 feet long, and he weighs a good ton. He's so large that he's one of the few animals that legitimately threatens hippos. That's how big he is, or was. It's believed he may actually have been killed finally, though no one can confirm that or deny that. But Sarcosuchus is documented, the bones we have at any rate, at, let me hold 1 second, I believe at like 40 plus feet. Sarcosuchus. Let's see here. Sarcosuchus. Let's see here. Oh, okay. The size of Sarcosuchus on average is actually measured, roughly speaking, at say 29 to 32 feet long. So it's not. So it's not it's not quite the size that I think it's that I thought it was. Although I think there are specimens speculated to be like around 40 feet long. Still, it's got a good, and let's actually see Gustav's length here. Let's see, Gustav. Yes, it's like saying mustache. So Gustav, unfortunately, we actually don't have a good measurement because he was never caught. We don't have a good measurement on his size. We have his weight, but Sarcosuchus easily would outweigh that. Uh, so unfortunately, we don't have a good estimate on his length. Although it is estimated he's more than 20 feet long. Definitely not 30 feet long. Nile crocs just don't get that big. Although who knows? Maybe he could. We don't know. But my guess is if he is over 20 feet, he's like 21, 22 feet, would still make him one of the largest crocs on Earth. The problem is the Sarcosuchus, if we even lowball him, has got a good 7 feet on him, and it's got a good several tons in mass on him as well, and a jaw that is, as you can see here, the jaw is just huge compared to his. So it would not be a fair fight in Gustav's favor. So Gustav loses that fight. I go with Sarcosuchus. Next one up we have from, where are you now? Wait, seriously, where'd you go? Oh, 1 second. Oh, sorry. That was from Luke Slaughter. Sorry, Luke Slaughter. This one was from Luke Zilla, who asked the question, who would win a fight, Kong versus Bigfoot? Look, even if I go with the largest versions of Bigfoot I can find in media, which would be like, say, from like a Abominable, that horror movie they did where Bigfoot's like 9, 10 feet tall and a man eater. The smallest version of Kong, which is the Peter Jackson Kong, is still two and a half times larger than it. So it's literally whatever version of Kong you have, you're just gonna pick up Bigfoot and yeet it, or give it a Hulk Loki smash and just break every bone in his body. So that's kind of not a fair fight at all. That's why this goes in the speed round. Yeah, Kong would make mincemeat of any version of Bigfoot. Unless you're going with Big Butox from, say, Angry Beavers. Yeah, I'm deep cutting right now. That's Big Butox, who was so big that their planet rusted on his buttocks. In that case, sure, that parodied version of Bigfoot would win, but that's simply because there's nothing Kong could do against something that big. Regardless, yeah, Kong takes that fight. Then coming to us from what was it? What was the name of this person again? Sorry, one second. Shakira Ilong, or Shakira Aljong. I think that was the name of the person who gave me this. Cujo versus Cocaine Bear. This one's not quite as clear cut because in the end, the Cocaine Bear is dying from cocaine, a cocaine overdose. Granted, in the movie it ends up living, but that's the movie. In real life, the bear died pretty quick after consuming that much cocaine. Even if it was the scenario we got in the movie where the bear actually ended up living and just being a menace on cocaine, it would still die because it's fighting a rabid dog and it would end up getting rabies and dying. That said, as big as St. Bernards are, and they are huge. In fact, let me actually get a good comparison here for St. Bernard versus black bear. Is that black bear was kind of as large as you black bears normally get. So let's see black bears real quick. Black bear singing in the dead of night. I don't know where that's blackbird singing in the night, but black bear singing in the dead of night. Let's see here. So the biggest black bears, which is what the bear in Cocaine Bear more or less was capped out at. Let's see here. Taxonomy and evolution. Give me some stats here. You know, there's a lot of different black bears. Distribution, population. Okay, description. There you go. But it was also apparently a female black bear, so I think that's very important to differentiate because males tend to be bigger than the females in the species. Let's see. The hind legs, American black bears. Okay, size. Here we go. Typical adults typically range from 47 to 79 inches in height, and although they are a small species of bear, males can exceed other bear species except for brown bears and polar bears. So yeah, they're not exceptionally large bears usually, although they can get hefty. Whereas a Saint Bernard dog, how big do those guys get? Because Cujo, I believe, was a male Saint Bernard. They get to be up to 180 pounds, which still puts them on the smaller end compared to the American black bear. And males at most will get like 28 to 35 inches. So unfortunately, even if we lowball it with the female standards, the female bear is still larger and is tricked out on cocaine. So that makes it completely more savage in theory than Cujo would be. Also, its body is just better equipped for actually fighting it out. Its claws can literally just rend through flesh. Its bite is far more dangerous than Saint Bernard's is. And its arms, its hind legs are literally like arms. They function and are just far better for fighting than, say, a dog's are, even though Saint Bernard's. So while the Saint Bernard the cocaine bear is dead no matter what at the end of the fight, it is going to win the overall fight between the two because Saint Bernard is not really going to take a black bear on very well. They're not even designed for that, as far as I know, breed wise. There are dogs breeds that are designed for that. Mastiffs, for example, especially like Tibetan mastiffs, those sons of bitches could take on bears. But Saint Bernards, as big and hefty as they are, they're not physically designed to take a bear on very well. They could give a bear a good fight. They would definitely scare a bear off. But if we're talking about a fight to the death where they're both going at it, no, the cocaine bear is going to win that. So win victory, in my opinion, to the cocaine bear. Then coming to us from, who was it now? How to Google Etrigan the Demon versus Darkseid. This is kind of a no-brainer. No, this is a non-starter kind of fight. Darkseid would make mincemeat out of Etrigan. Etrigan's not even the strongest demon in his verse. And he's not even hardly even ranks as like the top 10 strongest characters in like DC. Whereas Darkseid can definitely crack a lot of those top 10 lists. Darkseid's not the strongest individual in DC either, not actually by a long margin, but he usually can crack either a top 10 or 20 list. Etrigan wouldn't even be in the top 40, I'm guessing, just because of how many characters there are out there that are theoretically stronger than him. And you might be saying, well, name them. Like, okay, let me see if I can get the top 10. Darkseid, I believe, is stronger. Like, Edrigan, literally, there's nothing Edrigan can do against Darkseid. Darkseid also knows mysticism as well. He's got the Omega effect on his side. He's a living embodiment of tyranny. So he can go toe-to-toe with Superman and has beaten Superman on regular occasions. So, yeah. You want me to give you my random top 10 characters that are stronger than Edrigan? Here we go. We got Darkseid, Brainiac, Doomsday, Superman, even though he's magically his abilities are all magical, Superman would make mincemeat of him. Martian Manhunter. We have, what was it, Proxima or Proxalia or whatever, the multiversal woman. We got the Batman Who Laughs. Dr. Manhattan became in the DC universe and he's much stronger. Dr. Fate is much stronger. Lucifer Morningstar and Michael. If we're adding those in, all 7 of the Endless. So, yeah, the Edrigan does not even make it into, say, a top 30, I don't think. I don't even know if you'd say top 40. I love Edrigan, too. Edrigan's a cool character, and I can't wait until we eventually get him, whenever we do, in live action. I would really be down for that. But unfortunately, no. This is not going to be a fight that he wins. So, yeah, Darkseid wins that. And speaking of Darkseid, we had something I don't normally do is a second match with the same character, but this is just how it kind of played out. And I think maybe it's because it was like a birthday request or something like that, but regardless, and this one actually had multiple requests to it, Ghost the Reaper, Ghost the Reaper, King of Videos, that's it. Ghost the Reaper, King of Video Games, Parker Smith, and Dylan H. Pennywise versus Darkseid. Once again, it's the same argument I make anytime Pennywise is going up against anyone. Pennywise is, when you take Pennywise out of their world, where they're one of the most dangerous individuals, not the most, or not most powerful in his world, like Scarlet King overrides him, but turns it equal to him. There are individuals stronger than him in his world. I say he because that's how he presents in the Pennywise form. Technically, Pennywise is a female, technically. And technically it's genderless, but technically it's a female. I think words here. But when you take Pennywise out of their environment and throw them into a world that is used to things like them and far worse, Pennywise becomes a very just generic kind of individual. And Darkseid, there is nothing Pennywise could do against Darkseid. Let's break that down real quick. All the physical stats are in Darkseid's favor, 100%. This is a guy who goes toe-to-toe and beats down Superman on occasions. Superman beats him down too, but they have like a pretty good win or loss ratio with each other. I think Superman maybe has an edge because he's the hero usually, but Darkseid is one of those individuals that legitimately scares Superman. It's like, oh, or when he shows up, Superman is immediately on, oh, I can't be holding back like I normally do here. So Pennywise can't compete physically. Abilities-wise, Darkseid can do nearly everything Pennywise can do and much more effectively. He can read minds. He doesn't actually have reality warping capabilities, but neither does Pennywise. Technically, he's more it's more illusions, which Darkseid can do. Shape-shifting. Darkseid doesn't really do shape-shifting, but that's not to say he couldn't. I believe he has disguised himself in other forms before. So while Pennywise can shape-shift, fine, it's not like he can shape-shift into anything that can really do much, because he doesn't actually have the powers of things he shape-shifts into. At least not like a magic. If he shape-shifted into Superman, he wouldn't suddenly be Kryptonian. That's the thing. But being able to pluck the fears of your opponent out of your head and then trying to use that against them, well, Darkseid theoretically can do that too. And Darkseid doesn't really have any fears that are really not like something that are malleable for Pennywise to really exploit. So there's that ill issue as well. And then there's the whole idea of, well, this isn't really Pennywise. It's an extension, a part of Pennywise. Pennywise is really the Deadlights. And, any living being that looks at the Deadlights is either going to go insane or die, or go insane and die. But again, that only really applies to regular humans. And even then, regular humans who aren't used to that kind of thing. Because basically it's eldritch horror is what Pennywise is. He's something our brains are not designed to comprehend. But that's only within a world that is basically the normal world, and then you insert all this supernatural shit in there. When you put him in a world that has supernatural shit or aliens or gods that are leagues beyond even him, and I mean leagues, because that's what Darkseid really is. He's leagues beyond Pennywise in terms of all that kind of stuff. Then it's like, well, Darkseid would look at him and go, and the Deadlight's say, it's like your light show tires me, clown, and then just would just laser his eyes or Omega beam him, and then either erase his existence or send him through time. Yeah, there's literally nothing Pennywise can do to Darkseid. Darkseid could end the fight immediately. He could even go into the Macroverse if he wanted, because he exists in his real body, exists in Fourth World, I believe, in another dimension. So traveling through Boomtube to save the Macroverse outside of reality, like the base reality, would not be difficult for him to do at all. And then he would just curb stomp the real Pennywise when he gets the chance. So yeah, Pennywise would get his giant teeth kicked in by this. Which brings us to our last fight. Annabelle versus Braum from the movie The Boy, which comes to us from, where are you now? Where are you? You were the first one I did. Honey Badger? Honey Badger don't give a shit. Yeah, Honey Badger. Which, interesting. I'm not judging the name, I'm just like, oh, Honey Badger, okay. So this all really breaks down to, are you going with I have the Boy 2 poster, but are we going with the Boy 2 or are we going with Braum the child? Because technically we get the reveal that Braum is the doll and is a demon that has possessed the doll, very similar to how Annabelle works. But in the first movie, it is just someone living in the walls, and it's just a psychopath. So in that case, then Annabelle clearly wins. But if we're going and with the idea of the demon versus the demon, okay, now who is the more dangerous entity here? And I think the answer would be the one that was harder to deal with. And I think that would be Annabelle, because they never, I mean, as far as I don't know anything about what they've done with the Annabelle doll since then, but or if like maybe the demon has finally left the Annabelle doll, but the demon was the demon was attached to the doll. They basically had to lock the doll away in a room where a priest came and like cleansed it constantly, so that the demon was not going to get out. They couldn't just exorcise the demon or anything like that there, but with Braum, they kind of did. Now, I mean, granted, you get the stinger at the end that Braum is still around, but he seemed to be more easily handled. He seemed to be able to be more easily handled than Annabelle was. The idea that Braum could have been defeated seemed to be a lot more palpable. Now, granted, he wasn't again, but they seemed a bit more confident they could handle Braum than the Warrens were about Annabelle. And Annabelle is an actual real thing, not this. This is the movie version, but Annabelle is in fact a real thing. So it has the advantage of being a real world thing that they've said, no, we can't deal with this, so let's just lock it away. Which, by the way, I do wonder the logistics of taking all these evil possessed items and putting them under one roof. I do wonder that. And not just one roof, one room. But I think that was explained in the movie that I'd rather have them all stuck here than it's out there causing harm. I think that was his logic. Which, fair. And having like a priest come in and cleanse the room every couple weeks or something like that. I can't remember how often it was. Makes sense as well. But because we don't really see much of what the demons actually do, like with their full power manifest or whatever, I would say that I would go with Annabelle, just because based on a real thing that they legitimately couldn't get rid of, and so they figured, okay, let's just break it down and let's just trap it, contain it and keep it safe. Whereas Braum, they definitely felt they could get rid of Braum. They didn't, but there seemed to be a lot more likelihood that you could have. So ultimately, I would go Annabelle in this fight. So that's my thoughts. That's Q&A and Q&A. That's who would win speed round 20. That's my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.